Hi everybody, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, I have a couple of news stories today that are not good news stories. I have a little video to show you that could be very hard to watch for some people. So I'm going to give you that warning right now. Okay, so we have two different tragedies that are going on right now that have just happened. And the first one happens in Indonesia, where a cruise ship was sailing and caught fire. Now, I'm going to show you this clip, and I just want to warn you ahead of time. It is a little disturbing. It does sound like there's a young child very upset in this, and you'll see why. So I just want to prepare you for this ahead of time.
Barcelona. Aduh, so ati basar ati. Bro. Allah, kasihan gitu anak satu masih di kapal. Ya Allah.
Wow, you can hear the poor girl very upset. You can see people, like how much fire is already on this ship. There were 237 passengers aboard, all of whom ended up into the water. Many of them said that they couldn't find life jackets in time. The fire was spreading so quickly and so fast. Fire on a cruise ship is the most deadly, disastrous thing that can possibly happen at any point. You could strike a rock on the bottom, not as bad as a fire on board. You have more time when you do something like that than if you have a fire on board. It is very scary. You can hear the poor girl in the water, and you can see people underneath and the fire above them raging when they're trying to get into the water, and you see some people coming out without life jackets, and they all end up in the water. Slightly good news in this situation was, according to the report, that they did manage to recover everybody on board. However, 3 people did later on pass away from this situation. So 237 went in the water, 234 were accounted for and still around. No idea yet what caused this fire, what happened. Was there a leak on board? Did the gas in the kitchen blow? We don't know. It could have been an engine fire, could have been electrical fire, could have been a lot of things. And it could have been a lot worse than this. Like I said, 237 people ended up into the ocean, some without life jackets. And that is not a situation you want anyone to be in. So condolences to the families and people who went through that situation there in Indonesia. This is not a good day for cruising in that area. Unfortunately, I also on the same day have another story. And this one happened in Ha Long Bay in Vietnam, where a tour boat was traveling between the islands, and it was apparently going through a storm. Not sure why this tour boat was out in the storm, but it got caught in some swells and actually capsized. And at last report, confirmed by local stories and local media out there, this tour boat, 37 passengers passed away of strictly tourists. These were all tourists from hotels and visiting cruise ships, etc. From, according to reports, various places around the world, not all just from that area. So another tragic story. Again, I'm not sure why this small tour boat was out in a storm. Was it a squall that just happened, wasn't expected? Or did they, we're sailing no matter what, we have a schedule to keep, that kind of thing? Remember, regulations in different parts of the world are much different than we have sometimes in North America. And tour boat operators in smaller places like Vietnam, etc., operate under a completely different system than we operate here in North America or even the Caribbean a lot of times. Especially in places that the big main cruise lines aren't always there all the time, where they regulate their shore excursions, etc. But I'm not saying there was any fault in this. It's just, if you get caught in a storm in a smaller boat and it overturns, something went wrong. Obviously, something drastically went wrong here. And there are various reports coming out right now from, it started with 37 casualties, and I saw one report coming out now that there was 54 passengers, but that was on a media site that isn't as highly regarded as the other sites reporting. So right now, hopefully that lower number is the one that's truly going on. So wow, not a great day in cruising to report. Sorry if the video that I showed you of people jumping into the water, is disturbing. I just thought it was something that we want to see in a way of, how important it is to pay attention to safety procedures. Now, this was a lower cruise ship. It only had a couple of decks. Now, picture a cruise ship with 21 decks catching fire. Picture a cruise ship with the top 4 decks on fire and what you would do. Do you remember where your muster station is? Do you remember where your life jacket is? What if you can't get to your stateroom and to get your life jacket? Where would you get a life jacket? Well, folks, they have life jackets on board the tenders as well. You can find them there. So if you cannot get there, get to the tender, you will get a life jacket. And remember, please, if you're traveling with children and in your stateroom there are no life jackets for children there, tell your stateroom attendant to bring you child life jackets. So many people just look up, they see a couple of life jackets up there and they say, okay, well, we got a life jacket. Make sure they are the size for your child, because a 5-year-old does not fit properly in an adult life jacket. And if something like this tragically ever happens, you don't want to be the cause that something happens to your child because you didn't have the right life jacket. So please check that when you're on there. Pay attention to the safety drills. Condolences definitely go out to everybody in those 2 tour boat and the cruise ship, everybody involved. Until next time, please, everybody out there, just please stay safe.